I'm Megan Brownlow, a media and marketing commentator. I want to talk today about one of the silver linings that's emerged from this god-awful global pandemic, and that's the rising to prominence of self-actualized brands. Self-actualization's a psychological concept. It's the full realization of one's creative, intellectual, and social potential, using whatever resources and capabilities you have. What we saw in the year just gone was self-actualized brands using their creativity and core capabilities to respond to their customers' changing needs. And not just their customers, but society as a whole. Here's some examples. Dyson deployed its great vacuum cleaner technology to make 15,000 much-needed ventilators. Here's an example of Dyson's Covent attached to a hospital bed. Melbourne fashion designer and lover of fluoro hair, Gary Bergeni, made signature polka dot masks, keeping costs reasonable by using fabric scraps from previous seasons. And Sydney's favourite craft beer maker, Young Henry's, pivoted its equipment to make hand sanitizer. Their mission is stated in their logo: serve the people. So maybe the founder, Oscar McMahon, and his colleagues were a bit tongue-in-cheek when they developed their mission, but they actualised it last year. And there's an important subtext to this behaviour. These are all commercial decisions. Conscious commerce is the mantra of the self-actualised brand, aligning social good with sustainable, job-producing, ideally profitable ventures. And it's not new. The best self-actualised brands have always risen to the challenge of difficult periods in human history. Does anyone share my annoyance at the constant media references to unprecedented times? It's rubbish. I'd like to offer, as a little case study, the year 1943. There are some parallels. The world was in crisis, a global war raged, many were in lockdown. 13-year-old Anne Frank was already 6 months into her ISO, which took place in not much more than a wall cavity behind a bookshelf. No doubt contemporaneous newspapers were claiming unprecedented times then too. But there were brands working for good. In World War I, half the deaths were due to infections, not the war injuries themselves. This couldn't be repeated. A marvellous Australian, Howard Florey, a Nobel Prize winner, had discovered how to extract penicillin from mould. And he worked with American scientists and pharmaceutical brands, Pfizer, Eli Lilly, Merck & Co., self-actualised brands, to mass-produce antibiotics for wounded troops. And together, they saved millions and millions of lives. But I have to tell you about one of these young scientists who hasn't really received the attention she deserves. Mary Hunt is her name. So Mary was young, attractive, stylish, smart, and every day she scoured the fruit and veg markets to find mouldy items to bring back to the lab. This is what Mary Hunt's Pinterest board would have looked like. And one day she hit pay dirt. She found a rock melon, so hairy, its mould so powerful that it became the father of most of the penicillin in the world. True story. Some of you smarty pants will know that this concept of self-actualization was popularized by a famous psychologist called Abraham Maslow. Guess when? 1943. That's when Maslow wrote his groundbreaking paper on human motivation. See? Silver linings. Here's what Maslow worked out. We humans have needs, but they operate in a hierarchy. We need to have the lower tiers of needs met before we can move up a tier. So the lowest tier are our physiological needs: safety, food, clothing, warmth, rest. You'll notice these crucial physiological needs are the ones self-actualized brands focused on during the pandemic, especially safety. Side note, governments are brands too. Government actions that provide for our basic needs, JobKeeper, for example, have been heralded as great successes. You could say a brand rehabilitation after the bushfire bungles. But what about those higher up tiers? The middle tier represents our psychological needs, the need for accomplishment, or our self-esteem need, and the need for belonging, our connection need. For these needs, the best brands provide tools and community. Let's look at tools first. I'm going to use examples from Pinterest because there are hosts today. And some of you are responsible for these excellent campaigns. And if that's you, well done on your part in creating a self-actualized brand. Here are a few of my favourites. HP printers helped out with homeschooling in their Print, Play, Learn campaign. They developed a bunch of hands-on writing and drawing activities for kids. Amex spent their valuable ad dollars to connect consumers to their local businesses in their Shop Local campaign. It was a really great idea. And Big W's Big Day at Home campaign provided free 5-minute home workout videos. Michelle Bridges using 2-litre milk bottles as hand weights. Genius. There are so many great examples, it's really heartwarming. The abundance of brands providing people with tools to help them achieve a sense of accomplishment and connection is one of the true silver linings of the pandemic. As Joy Panos-Stauber says, she's a branding expert, when brands build community, they invite potential customers to become part of something bigger and to have an impact together. That shared brand experience and collective impact makes people feel good. And what about that top tier? Helping people use what's at their disposal to be the best they can be. Well, the simplest way to do that comes down to do what I do, not what I say. It's role modeling. That's pretty powerful. So let's pull all of this together. You know I love an infographic. Let's start with Maslow's hierarchy, the 3 tiers. So from ground up, physiological needs, psychological needs, self-actualization at the top. This is how self-actualized brands serve their customers by providing for those needs. So at the bottom tier, they provide sustenance and security. At the middle tier, tools for accomplishment and community. And at the top, genuine and positive role modeling. And here's the payoff for all of us at the individual level: healthy, safe citizens. At the community level, social cohesion. And at the macro level, a well-functioning society. Your classic win-win. So that's a whirlwind tour of self-actualized brands and how they handle tough times. Thanks.